Hello, everyone. This is Mariah Cruz, and you're listening to the Spiritual Deep Dives podcast. For thousands of years, there were ancient spiritual truths and mystical teachings passed down only to the highest initiates walking the path back to God. It hasn't been until recent times that this secret knowledge has been available to the masses. Our team spent over 40 years researching many diverse spiritual, religious, and scientific sources, recording the wisdom from the ascended saints and sages of East and West, and tapping into God's Holy Spirit to reveal the spiritual truths and science behind the unseen forces that govern our lives. In this podcast, we will explore these teachings from a unique perspective that you probably have never heard before, and show practical ways you can integrate them into your life to resolve deep-seated personal problems, accelerate your soul's evolution, and help solve the world's dilemmas. In this series of spiritual deep dives, we are exploring the violet transmuting flame from teachings by Mark and Elizabeth Prophet of the Summit Lighthouse. In this episode, we're going to dive deeper into the science of the violet flame and its remarkable links in natural healing, molecular biology, physics, and even superstring theory. So we'll start with Patricia, a long-time staff member who worked with Mrs. Prophet on her books and lectures. She sent us some commentary by Mrs. Prophet about the violet flame as it relates to physics, but with a spiritual twist. This should be very interesting. So, here we go. Hello, Mariah. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss important spiritual topics like this. It's undeniable that people do notice a spiritual and physical difference when they use the violet flame. What I'm going to share with you is what Mrs. Prophet said about what happens on inner, more subtle levels when we give violet flame decrees. She gave us two perspectives on this: the spiritual perspective as it has been revealed to her by the Ascended Masters, and a scientific perspective based on relatively recent developments in physics and medicine. Both explanations involve the concept of vibration. She said in physics, vibration is caused by the repetitive, back-and-forth movement of particles or objects around an equilibrium position. At a spiritual level, vibration is created by the rate of spin of the electrons as they move around the nucleus of the atom. Later, it will become clear how these two definitions are related. We each have 4 bodies that envelop our soul: the physical body which we can see and touch, the desire or astral body which contains our emotions, the mental body which is our conscious mind, and the etheric or memory body which contains the memories of this and all of our past lives. The violet flame works on these 4 lower bodies by changing the rate of their vibration. When you recite violet flame decrees, the violet flame permeates every cell and atom of your body, into your mind, your emotions, your subconscious, and your memory. The Masters have given an explanation of how this occurs. We all know that atoms are mostly empty space. If an atom were the size of a basketball, its nucleus would still be too small for our eyes to see. Yet 99.9% of the mass of the atom is concentrated in the nucleus, leaving the rest of the space in the basketball empty, inhabited solely by electrons. All that empty space between the nucleus and electrons is where discord and negative energy can become stuck. At the cellular and molecular level, this substance appears as dust, soot, tar, or even cement. The Masters have used the illustration of someone taking a pail of molten tar and pouring it over a barrel full of marbles. The space between the marbles gets gummed up by the tar, and soon the whole mass is welded together. The Ascended Masters tell us that when our physical and spiritual bodies become clogged by negative energy and karma, it slows down the vibration of the electrons in our 4 lower bodies. We then begin to resonate more with negativity and less with the pure energy that comes from our God presence, and eventually we can become ill. The more negative substance there is in our 4 lower bodies, the lower our rate of vibration and the more burdened we become. Spiritually, this is why people die. If you have studied acupuncture and yoga, you know that optimum health comes when spiritual energy is flowing freely through our bodies. When karmic substance solidifies, it's like the hardening of the arteries of our spiritual bodies. When we resonate with this negativity, we will gradually become it unless we do something to turn ourselves around. Fortunately, we have the gift of violet fire. It transmutes anything negative that is lodged anywhere in our spiritual or physical being. This includes everything from kernels of self-hatred to physical viruses. When the violet flame goes to work, it passes through the clogged spaces between the electrons and the nuclei of our atoms. It ejects these particles of dense substance from our body and dissolves them. This process transmutes the negative energy into positive energy and restores it to its native purity. To explain this action another way, the violet flame works like laundry detergent. Detergent gets dirt out of your clothes by using the positive and negative charges of atoms. It works because each of its molecules has two sides, a side that is attracted to dirt and a side that is attracted to water. The dirt-loving side attracts the dirt, like a magnet attracts paper clips when it's dragged over them. The water-loving side sticks to the water, carrying the dirt with it. When we invoke the violet flame, it sets up a polarity between the nucleus of the atom and the white fire core of the flame. The nucleus, being matter, assumes the negative pole. The white fire core of the violet flame, being spirit, assumes the positive pole. The interaction between the nucleus of the atom and the light in the violet flame establishes an oscillation. This oscillation dislodges the densities that are trapped between the electrons orbiting the nucleus. As this hardened substance that weighs down the atom is loosened, it is thrown into the violet flame and carried away. But unlike laundry detergent, the violet flame does not simply surround and remove the debris. It transforms it into pure light energy. Freed of these debris, the electrons begin to move more freely, thus raising our vibration and propelling us into a more spiritual state of being. Thanks to Patricia for sharing Mrs. Prophet's insights. Before we continue to our next guest, I would like you to hear a violet flame decree led by Mrs. Prophet. So here's the decree.
Violet fire, thou love divine, blaze within this heart of mine. Thou art mercy forever true, keep me always in tune with you. Violet fire, thou love divine, blaze within this heart of mine. Thou art mercy forever true, keep me always in tune with you. Violet fire, thou love divine, blaze within this heart of mine. Thou art mercy forever true, keep me always in tune with you.
If you want to try giving violet flame decrees yourself, check out the links in our notes. Next, I'll read what Alma wrote. She's a naturopathic doctor of over 40 years who has been working extensively with energy frequencies, including the violet flame in her healing practice. She offers a different perspective to our discussion of negative energy and how the violet flame transmutes it. Here's what she wrote. It's thanks to the science fiction genre that we are used to the idea that energy rays and force fields can be used to affect matter. The characters in movies like Star Wars, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers, X-Men and others used some form of energy to manipulate matter. While these may be futuristic concepts, remember that we can do things today with energy that would have seemed equally far-fetched to most people in the last century. Things like transmitting audio and video through the air via radio waves, heating food with microwaves, and even the HAARP arrays and direct energy weapons we've been hearing about more recently. Another example of energy frequencies on the electromagnetic spectrum is ultraviolet light. While harmful to our unprotected skin, it can be used for healing. Wounds that are treated with ultraviolet light heal faster than those treated with regular medical care alone. Ultraviolet light treatments have also been shown to relieve intense skin itching known as pruritus, and it has been used to disinfect the air in hospitals to prevent transmission of tuberculosis and other dangerous diseases. It kills the tuberculosis bacteria in the air. Although the action of the violet flame cannot yet be measured scientifically, I believe it may work in a similar way to the various frequencies of electromagnetic energy. The reason I believe this is because when microwave energy passes through food, It speeds up the electrons in the food, which causes the food to heat up. Similarly, I have been told by people with spiritual insight that when the violet flame passes through our bodies, it speeds up the electrons in our atoms, removing calcified emotional debris and other substance, which helps reconnect our bodies back to their natural healing mechanism. I find this theory very interesting because it suggests that the frequency of the violet flame may play a role in the miraculous healings that have been recorded by people all around the world. Think about it. We aren't surprised when our body begins manufacturing new skin to heal a cut, or when it starts creating new bone to heal a fracture. But we're surprised when something like cancer disappears from our body for no apparent reason. It's known as spontaneous remission. Some doctors who have studied spontaneous remission cases concluded that it happens when the body is able to access a state in which the cells can use their natural ability for self-repair. They speculate that these healings happen when mind, or consciousness, directs the body to heal itself, the so-called mind-body connection. This then begs the question, what is mind? Candace Pert, a molecular biologist who studies the process by which we begin to feel emotions, calls the mind some kind of enlivening energy in the information realm throughout the brain and body that enables the cells to talk to each other and the outside to talk to the whole organism. Pert believes that the mind is located throughout the brain and body, not just above the neck. She sees the emotions as the connection between the mind and the body. Scientists have demonstrated that the immune system has an intelligence of its own. They don't know why some people's immune systems choose to fight disease, while other people's give in to it. Andrew Weil, a Harvard-trained doctor who studies the mind-body connection, says he believes that if spontaneous healing can happen to one person, it can happen to all. All the circuitry and machinery is there. The challenge is to discover how to turn on the right switches to activate the process, he says. If we can figure out how to influence this mind, we can turn on our body's natural healing mechanism. I believe that disease occurs when the body is vibrating at a different rate from this mind, and thus is unable to communicate with the higher self. The explanation for spontaneous healings may simply be that the violet flame restores the natural resonance between the higher self and the physical body. Alma certainly shared an interesting perspective, and we thank her for being part of this podcast. I hope that someday science will be able to measure the violet flame and its interaction within the body. We have to remember that according to the Ascended Masters, the science of the violet flame has been practiced for thousands of years by spiritually evolved initiates on inner levels, and it wasn't until the 1930s that this knowledge was introduced outwardly to the masses. Now our last guest will be digging way down into superstring theory and how this emerging study may lead to the ability to measure how giving violet flame decrees directly affects matter through vibrations and frequencies. Here's what Harvey, a physicist who has been studying this topic for many years, had to say. Thank you for sharing my notes about superstring theory and the role I believe the violet flame plays in our lives. Although this is a deep topic, I hope my comments will be fascinating and as easy as possible to understand. Most scientists aren't ready to buy into the idea that energy vibrations can change our health. But relatively recently, a scientific theory, the theory of superstrings, has emerged, which says that our physical bodies, which seem so solid to us, are nothing more than a collection of vibrations of strings that exist in several dimensions. If this is so, then we can easily understand how the violet flame could heal us by changing our vibrations. Much of modern physics has been devoted to discovering the true nature of matter and energy. Every time physicists think they've found the smallest particle of matter, a smaller one appears. In the last century, scientists thought that atoms were the smallest particles. Then they discovered that atoms consisted of electrons circling around a nucleus. Next, they learned how to split apart the protons and neutrons at the nucleus of the atom, and nuclear energy was released. But scientists have also discovered at least 60 more subatomic particles, such as neutrinos, leptons, bosons, and quarks, so many that they are sometimes termed a particle zoo. If superstring theory is correct, we may never find the smallest particle. This theory, which has been evolving since the late 60s, tells us that what seem like particles to us may actually be the vibrating modes of strings. strings that we cannot see even under a microscope because they are so tiny. Each string is 100 billion times smaller than a proton, so the strings look like particles to us. Just as the strings of a musical instrument can vibrate at different frequencies and create notes in their harmonics, so these superstrings can vibrate at different frequencies, each one corresponding to a different kind of subatomic particle. Thus, superstring theory is an elegant way to explain the existence of so many kinds of subatomic particles. They are not different kinds of matter at all. They are, as physicist Michio Kaku writes, nothing but the harmonies created by this vibrating string. Scientists like Kaku say that we can only see the particle and not the whole string because the rest of the string is curled up into higher dimensional space. They are looking for ways to test this theory, which raises as many questions as it answers. But the idea that we are the product of vibrating strings may help explain why people have such remarkable results when they raise their vibration by using the violet flame. Well, that's an interesting theory from Harvey. Someday scientists may be able to measure the subtle concentrations of energy that make up our 4 lower bodies. Or they may be able to measure the energy that descends when we repeat the words of a violet flame decree, and how it works all the way down even beyond the atomic level. Until then, we can experiment with the violet flame as a powerful form of spiritual energy. It enables us to re-establish our harmony and equilibrium so that we can rediscover what spiritual and physical wholeness really is. In this episode, we got a glimpse into how the violet flame works. If you haven't decided to try it yet, I urge you to. It just might be the spiritual key you've been looking for. Don't miss our next episode, where we will hear several testimonials from people who witnessed the amazing action of the violet flame for themselves. This promises to be a real eye-opener. Thank you for listening to Spiritual Deep Dives. If you like this type of content, please subscribe to this podcast. To try a violet flame decree yourself and get a free download of the book Violet Flame to Heal Body, Mind and Soul, check out the links in our notes.